So, hi, I am KB with Nerd Files. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, KB.
Oh my goodness. Listen, I absolutely adore this show. I think you are doing a phenomenal job. So, my first question is, there's really a fine line between being a vigilante and breaking the law, which is a line that Gabby is straddling all too well. And it really feels like Sir is happy to remind her from her basement. So,
Yeah.
as the season progresses, can you just tell me a little bit about how the relationship and dynamic between Gabby and Sir will continue to shift?
I think it's now we're really into the season, right? We're 10 episodes and you're starting to see that that line has become more and more blurred for Gabby, that desperation of wanting to find people, but also the guilt that she's feeling for having him in the basement and also struggling with her own morality. All of that stuff has built, and it does explode. So that dynamic shifts even more, that back and forth, that push pull, but also the anger and the resentment she has for him putting her in the situation of making her feel like this was the only recourse was to have. It's just all a hot mess, and it does not stop. It's not one of those happy ending fairy tales tied in the bow kind of show, so do not expect that.
You know what? It has proven not to be. So that is very much true. So you know what? I would not expect that for the season finale. But what I will say is, one of the great relationships that has unfortunately come out of this trauma between Gabby and Sir is the one between Gabby and Lacey. And so, this past week, viewers saw that Lacey's going to take some time for herself, and Gabby's really like conflicted because this is really the first time she's lying to her in such a profound way. So do you think that if Gabby reveals the secret about Sir, do you think that her and Lacey can kind of get back to being the sisters that they've always been?
I think that the last that's a tough one because what has happened is Gabby, and maybe by her own doing, but sometimes people just put people on a pedestal. And for everyone at Mosley and Associates, Gabby's the strong one. Gabby's already here. Gabby's all those things. And so I think that there was a point that Gabby could have revealed the secret, and maybe there was a coming back from that. But it's gone on so long now, this seat, right? And so I think it would be really hard, especially for someone like Lacey. But I think what's really beautiful about Lacey and Gabby is that the female love story of what it is to form a sisterhood with someone. It's, yes, it's a trauma bond, but it's something that took them into where they are now, and to see the love that they have for one another, and to even when Gabby was saying I'm in the basement in the last episode, when she said that to Lacey, she wasn't lying.
Right.
She is in the basement. That is where she goes to her dark place. It was the truth. It wasn't the whole truth, but it was the truth. And you could see Lacey feeling that because she realized the hurt that Gabby's still under and how they'll always be there. So I think the Lacey and Gabby's relationship is going to be a tough one because of Gabby's secret, if it's
Yeah.
ever, and we'll wait and see if it is.
I know. I'm like, I at least hope by season two, that they can kind of find their way back to each other. And whether or not Lacey agrees with how Gabby has handled this, I do hope that they find some common ground because of course everyone deals with their trauma in different ways. And honestly, they're both still dealing with their trauma. It just so happens that Gabby is doing it with the physical presence of Sir still there and doing it in the best way that she knows how. Um,
Absolutely.
and so my final question really is just for you, Shanola, as a human being, what case of the week has really kind of impacted you the most over the course of this season?
There have been so many. I think that when you ask that for me, Shanola, this is why the importance of the show. It was very important for me to do this role, to show these stories, to highlight stories that have not been highlighted before in this way. So to give people a different face for what the Indigenous community looks like, that was very profound for me, to have the cases of the elderly and sets. All of the cases are so, the underserved communities are so severely underserved that they all took a little bit of me, like touched me, because I think we're changing the faces of the missing. or making it be so many different faces. So I guess really the most touching would still be the pilot, because I think finding the little girl who was just so sweet and very reminiscent of Gabby being young and no one ever finding her. I think that impacted me probably for sentimental value. It was our pilot. It's the story we spent the most time with actually working on. So that's probably the one.
Yeah, well, listen, I think the show is so fabulous. And I was telling a couple of your co-stars that I just hope that, this unearths so much in viewers in the sense that, like, it allows them to go down a deep dive, to pay more attention, to kind of really bring awareness to missing persons throughout the world, because I think the show is beautifully done. I think you lead it with such profound grace. And I really appreciate you for just taking the time to chat with Nerdifaust. Really, really appreciate
It
that.
is my pleasure. I'm so glad you got to talk to all of the folks over here, like good people, right? Good people. It's a
Yes,
good
yes.